The first official list of original 7 wonders of the world was made at the Museum of Alexandria by Greek historian Herodotus and the scholar Callimachus of Cyrene. Although the list of original 7 wonders lead back to 1st and 2nd century when Greek historians, poets and writers such as Philo of Byzantium, Diodorus Siculus, and Antipater of Sidon mentioned about 7 wonders of the world in their works. The statue of Zeus at Olympia was a giant seated figure of Zeus, the king of the gods from Greek mythology. The statue was placed in Zeus's temple in Olympia, Greece. The statue was as high as 41 feet that it almost touched the top of the temple. It was constructed with ebony, gold, ivory and precious stones by Greek sculptor Phidias around 430 BC. Zeus held the chryselephantine statue of Crown Nike, goddess of victory, in his right hand and a scepter with perched eagle on the left hand. The statue sat overlooking the grounds where the original Olympic Games were held, and the people of Greek Empire came to pay homage to Zeus before participating in the games. Some historians believe Emperor Theodosius II banned the games in 426 and closed the temple, while some believes that the statue was dismantled and transported to Constantinople, where it was reportedly burned. The Great Temple of Artemis was designed by the architect Chersiphron on the order of Croesus, king of Lydia. About 550 BC it was the first temple of Greeks that was made entirely of marble. The temple was renowned for its great size, measuring about 425 feet in length and 225 feet wide. It was surrounded by 127 huge columns which were 60 feet in height and 4 feet in diameter. Inside stood the statue of Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt, animals, chastity and childbirth. The statue was made of cedar wood. According to legend, in 4th century BC, the same night that Alexander the Great was born, it was torched by a Greek citizen named Herostratus, who claimed he burned the marvel so that his name would be known to history. The new Artemiseum was rebuilt in the 2nd century BC. On top of the previous one. The new temple was slightly smaller and on a higher ground than the previous one. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon was constructed in ancient city of Babylon near the Euphrates River around the 6th century BC. Story goes that Queen Amidus, wife of King Nebuchadnezzar II, missed the trees, mountains and natural beauty of her home in Media. Seeing his wife's homesickness, Babylonian King Nebuchadnezzar II ordered the construction of the Hanging Gardens alongside a grand palace known as the Marvel of Mankind. The gardens were believed to be 75 to 80 feet high, with beautiful supporting by stone columns on a huge square brick terrace that was laid out in steps like a theater. The gardens were full of blossoming flowers and ripe fruits of all types and colors. Burbling waterfalls were laid out like an art around the garden. Despite the marvelous and wondrous stories of the Hanging Gardens, no documentation or mention of the garden was found in Babylon history or inscriptions. Some believes that the garden is imagination of ancient poets and writers, while others believes that the Hanging Garden of Babylon is actually the Sennacherib's gardens at Nineveh. Mausoleus, ruler of Caria, decided to build a new magnificent capital in a city named Halicarnassus. They spent huge amount of money to build the city with statues, temples and gleaming marble buildings. Before his death he wished to build an elaborate tomb. After his death, his sister and widow, Artemisia II, continued his dream project that was named as Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. The tomb was built on a hill overlooking the city, and between about 353 and 351 BC the building was designed by Artemisia II and Greek architects Pythias and Satyros. The massive mausoleum was made entirely of white marble and is thought to have been about 135 feet high. The mausoleum was decorated with stone and marble statues of lions, warrior-mounted horses, gods and goddesses. Inside the tomb, there were scenes from famous incidents such as the Battle of the Centaurs and Lapiths, Greeks' combat with the Amazons. The main attraction of the tomb was on the top, where 4 massive horses were pulling a chariot in which rode Mausolus and Artemisia. Artemisia II lived only for 2 years, leaving the mausoleum incomplete. According to legends, loyal craftsmen sealed the access of the tomb with dead animals, stones and rubble, and stayed inside to complete the tomb from inside. The mausoleum was destroyed by earthquakes and its remains were later used in the fortification of a castle. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, also known as Pharos of Alexandria, was located on a small island called Pharos near the city of Alexandria. Designed by Sostratus of Cnidus, the construction perhaps started during the reign of Ptolemy Isoter and finished construction during the reign of his son Ptolemy II in about 270 or 280 BC. The lighthouse stood on the island of Pharos in the harbor of Alexandria as a guide to the ships in and out of the city's harbor. The lighthouse was believed to be 350 to 600 feet high. Some sources say that the lighthouse was surmounted by a statue of Zeus Soter. Later, according to Arabian writers, a ramp raised around the outside of the lower part of the tower and there was an internal staircase to reach the upper levels. The lighthouse was gradually damaged by several earthquakes. Final remnant of the lighthouse was lost when the Sultan of Egypt, Qaibay, built a medieval fort on the larger platform of the lighthouse site using some of the fallen stones. The Macedonian prince Demetrius Poliorcetes besieged the city of Rhodes for 12 months but negotiated a truce because of the Rhodians' formidable defense and fortification. As a celebration, around 280 BC, Rhodians built the statue in the image of their most important deity, sun god Helios. Unlike most other sculptures and statues from antiquity, there's no surviving image or scale models of the Colossus or its building place in ancient art or documents. According to most sources, the Colossus was the image of sun god Helios with his usual crown of pointed sunbeams and was holding a torch. The most debating issue is the stance of the Colossus, whether it was holding the torch over the head or like current U.S. Statue of Liberty, whether the sun god was standing at the entrance of the Rhodes harbor with legs apart or with normal stance. However, the Colossus looked like, according to the legend, the Colossus was built under the supervision of sculptor Caries of Lindus, and it took 300 talents and around 12 years to complete the bronze figure, which stood around 70 cubits or 108 feet high. The statue was reinforced with iron and weighted with stones. The Colossus was said to be the tallest of ancient world until its collapse. It stood for 60 years until it was toppled in an earthquake. The fallen Colossus was left in place until 654 BC, when Arabian forces captured and raided Rhodes and had the statue broken up. The statue was melted and sold to a Jewish merchant of Edessa as a bronze scrap who loaded the bronze onto 900 camels. The Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as the Pyramid of Khufu or the Pyramid of Cheops, is located at Giza on the west bank of the Nile River north of Cairo in Egypt. As the name suggests, the Pyramid of Khufu was built as a tomb for the 4th century pharaoh Khufu by his vizier Hemianu. But the pyramid did not just serve the purpose being the tomb for King Khufu, it also preserved ancient Egyptian cultures, lifestyle and language on its wall inside the tomb, as well as ancient manuscript and drawings. It is believed to be constructed around the year 2560 BC. Until now it remains to be the only existing original wonder of the ancient Seven Wonders. The height of the pyramid is 479 feet with 754 feet base. It is believed that the Pyramid of Giza was built using approximately 2.3 million blocks of limestones and have taken approximately 20 years and 20,000 men to complete. The construction procedure of the pyramid is still a puzzle to the modern science. Some theories goes as the Egyptians used ramps and staircases around the pyramid to move and construct the pyramid, or they had built a long stretched ramp to move the blocks and built the pyramid. Other theories includes Egyptians used ramp inside the pyramid, or they used water power using the high water table of the Giza plateau, and some believes there was extraterrestrial activities to build the pyramid. However the pyramid was built, it is believed that the procedure was so common to Egyptians that they did not feel the need to mention the procedure, and it is still a mystery to current day. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube channel.